Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone doing? Good morning, Dr. Bracy. Good morning,
Good,
LaVon Bracy Davis.
good
Thank you
morning.
for being here. Can you hear me? Okay, let's make sure all of our audio sounds good.
Yes,
Yes,
I can hear. Good morning. It's a delight to be with you, Candy.
good
Thank you
morning.
so much. Dr. Bracy is actually not a newcomer to the Good Morning Show. She is returning to the Good Morning Show. Good morning, Dr. Bracy.
Good morning. I'm so delighted to be here.
Well, we like to say good morning to our viewers, and so we'll do that in a moment. But I want to welcome everyone to the Good Morning Show with Candy Bryan. We are your place for faith in the morning. We are your faith-based talk show coming right here to you from Central Florida. And my name is Candy Bryan. I am your host. I am so delighted to be here to spend time this whole month. We've been talking to corporate women, women history makers today, corporate queens from Mrs. Corporate America organization. So it's been a whole month of celebrating the women that we know. And it's such a delight and an honor to be here with you. So we're going to say good morning to a few folks. We're also going to allow a few more folks to tune in. And if you are watching, you might be watching from YouTube or Facebook on the Good Morning Show page or our personal pages. It should now be live. We would love for you to hit the share button. So we're going to put up a few instructions for you this morning before we jump into our conversation and let these wonderful history makers get started with their day. If you are tuning in on Facebook, you can go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Again, that's StreamYard.com/Facebook, and that will allow your comments to be seen right here on the screen. So we're going to jump right into some good mornings. Would you help me say good morning, both of you?
hmm
We have some folks
Good
tuning in.
morning.
And we have Bridget. Good morning, Bridget. Oh, she's part of Women on the Rise. How are you, Bridget? Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. We'll pop up some folks here. So I want to know, and we'll start with you, LaVon. How have you been celebrating Women's History Month? How has this Women's History Month been different for you?
Well, we can't kind of minimize the obvious when we talk about women and women's history and what just happened in January with our Madam Vice President. We can't overlook that. I know there's so much history, even as it relates to Black women, when you're talking about women's history and all of the triumphs and trials we have been able to overcome. But what really hits home with me right now is that right now in Washington, D.C., the second most powerful person, not
Mm.
just woman, most powerful person in the country, um, just so happens to be a woman and just so happens to be a Black woman and just so happens to look like me. And if I can put in a shameless plug, we just so happen to go to the same college and university. So I am just delighted right now to be able to celebrate Women's History Month. And I just think it's no accident that Women's History Month falls right after Black History Month. Because for
Mm.
me, as a Black woman, they go hand in hand as I celebrate my African American heritage. And then being able to celebrate the fact that not only am I African American, but I am an African American woman who has had so much responsibility in this world and in this country, and who has always been able to rise to the occasion and fix things and bring things together and bring people together and hold the family together. So yeah, Women's History Month, it feels a little different this year.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. We're going to get into introductions and into your stories as well. We're still trying to let everyone come on into the Good Morning Show this morning. Dr. Bracy, good morning. How
Good
has
morning.
this Women's History Month been different, or is it different for you, or how does it feel to you this year?
Well, Black History Month in February was very, very busy for me.
Mhm.
And this month has been very busy for me as well. I have been sharing my own story. In fact, I was at church yesterday sharing my story at my son in law's church about the struggles of women and how difficult it has been. And I just think that we should not just celebrate women history, 1 month. We need to do it for 12 months because we
Yes.
know
Yeah.
that women have been the backbone for this country, for the success that we see every day. You cannot see any success without seeing a woman involvement in it.
Absolutely. I mean, you both put a pin right in that, said it perfectly. I agree with you on every level. This year has been different. I even see women celebrating more. Like every platform, everywhere you go, social media, I think the things that we walked through last year as a community, as a Black community as well, have really, in a lot of ways, unified us in a way that we never thought we could be unified, and we're just scratching the surface, right? This is just the beginning of what we believe we can do now when we stand unified. So I would like to get into introductions. I know I only have you this morning for a little bit, but as I was sharing before we came on the broadcast, I couldn't think of any other two history makers that are local to Central Florida that I wanted to talk to before we ended the month. And so now we have some folks coming on. We want to ask you to hit the share button, share this on your personal Facebook pages, and we're going to have a great conversation, and you all are going to be blown away. Thank you for tuning into the Good Morning Show. My name is Candy Bryan. This is your place for faith in the morning, and we have two history makers with us. So let's take advantage while we have them. Dr. LaVon Bracy, and she's the author of Brave Little Cookie. She's a history maker, an educator, a minister of the Word of God, and LaVon Bracy Davis. let me turn that around. and I wanted to start with you, LaVon, and introduce yourself and what you do at Dr. Phillips and the board you're a part of, and all of the amazing projects that you have going on as well that you might like to share this morning, and then we'll talk to Dr. Bracy about the book.
Thank you, Candy. So, as mentioned, my name is LaVon Bracy Davis, and no, you are not hearing double. My mother and I have the same name. I'd like to say sometimes my parents weren't that creative in naming me and my brother, as we are carbon copies as it relates to names of my father and my mother. But it's been a very powerful thing to be named after your mother, especially when your mother is such a trailblazer and pathfinder and a person that has done so much. And then when you have the same name, it could be a little confusing, and the expectation and the bar is high. But I am LaVon Bracy Davis. I work at the gym of an art center in downtown Orlando, the Dr. Phillips Center. I've been on or around or about that project for 13 years. Next week, it will be 13 years at the Dr. Phillips Center. My role is the director of community programming. So, at the Dr. Phillips Center has several theaters. I don't touch or do much of the commercial programming. It's all the touring artists or Broadway artists. I don't do any of that programming, but it's more so community programming, the local level, nonprofit, cultural programming, faith-based programming, 501c3, all of those folks that want to have events and performances at the Dr. Phillips Center. I work on those. I have a real big heart for the Orlando community. I'm from Orlando, went to high school here. I also serve on something that I'm so very proud of, the PACE Center for Girls, which is a girls' school right here in Orlando. Yes, I love me some PACE. I am the Resource Development Chair for PACE, serve on that board where I work to help bring resources. This is a volunteer board, but one that is very important to me. I help bring resources to those girls so that they could change the trajectory of their life. They're girls that have dealt with some trauma in their life, and they are at this very special school so that they could help with some of those traumas and perhaps transition back to a more everyday, day-to-day high school. So love the work that I do at PACE Center for Girls, and also the work that I do for the Dr. Phillips Center. And I also kind of serve as a sidekick to my mom when she needs me. Back before COVID, she was on a huge book tour. So I was the one that handed out her flyers and worked a credit card machine. So
I love it. I love that the whole family is a champion for the community, and you pitch in, you get in, you help
Oh
where
yeah.
you can, you volunteer, and I'm sure you grew up doing that, and you're still in support of this amazing woman. LaVon, before we talk to your mom about her amazing story and the book and herself as a pioneer and a history maker, what was it like growing up as a girl when you were watching your mom do all these things, and then when you were old enough to understand her story, how did that impact you?
I'll be honest. Like I growing up, she was just mom, right? It wasn't
Mhm.
until probably when I was in college, really, when I really took a deep dive in the civil rights movement, and I really took a deep dive. I went to Howard, so Howard is all things historical and all things Black. So it wasn't until I went to Howard where I'm reading and really learning about the stories of the civil rights movement and the freedom fighters and folks that really were on the front line for equality, only to have further conversations with my mom, knowing that she integrated but not fully understanding that when I'm reading about all these people, my mother is one of them. My mother is one of those people that we owe a debt of gratitude to. We absolutely need to say thank you to her for doing what she did locally. So it's growing up, she was just mom. Now as I'm older and I'm able to understand, she is definitely Shiro to me. And that's why I pushed her so much to continue to write this story and to continue to tell her story, because I think it's so very, very important. She mentioned that she was oh, excuse me. She mentioned that she was speaking at a church on yesterday. It was actually my husband's church where he pastors, and I thought he's only been pastor for 3.5 months. But I thought as soon as we had the opportunity to share her story with our congregation, I wanted that to happen, because it's just a powerful story. And if anything else, I'm going to help her market it, and I'm going to help her get the story out, because I think it's so very important.
So congratulations, first of all. That's something I was reading about you. That's something I did not see in your bio, that you have now added the title of First Lady.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't updated my bio yet. Funny story with that. I come from, my mother was a first lady. Her mother was a first lady. My father was a pastor and in ministry. My grandfather was a pastor in ministry, and now my husband. So I grew up saying I'm going to stay far, far away from being in a preacher's house, far, far away. And my mother tells the story that she grew up saying she was going to stay far, far away from a preacher's house. And here we are, where now I guess making me the third generation of a woman married to a pastor. The irony of it all.
Well, I could have had you on the show twice. First week of March, we did Women in Ministry, and so, but we're glad that you're here. We're glad that you're serving, and obviously the Lord has it as a part of your purpose for generations, for your family to continue to impact the earth. And so we're glad He didn't let you run too far. We're glad. We're glad.
I tried. He wasn't having it. So here I am.
Well, Dr. Bracy, we are excited about the book. When I first found out about it, shout out to Senator Randolph Bracy. Good morning, if you're watching. And I know that he was on first, and then you and I connected after that interview, and that was during the time where we were talking about the Ocoee massacre. And he came on and shared a lot about that, which a lot of us were being educated on that topic for the very first time. So it was a very important show. And then to learn your history and you putting your story, not in a normal format when people would just be doing an autobiography, but you turned it into a children's book. And that, have it right here, a copy for Jordan. That's everything. That is letting this next generation know what has happened before them in such a unique way. Can you talk a little bit about your story briefly, and why'd you write the book in this format?
Thank you. Well, I believe that if you don't tell your story, when you're not here, somebody else will tell your story. And when they tell your story, it really won't be your story, because they will not tell it the right way.
Yeah.
So I just decided, when let me say this, when my kids were growing up and I talked to them about what really happened to me, I don't think they were that interested until they got older and really could understand the impact of what had happened during the civil rights era. So uh, I do know that anytime that you are the first of anything, it is a challenge. It is difficult. It is stressful for you. And I just said that I know that many kids will go through things that will be the first, and they need to know that they need to persevere, and it can be difficult. When I integrated the school system, it was 1964 in Alachua County, which is Gainesville, Florida. This was 10 years after Brown versus the Board of Education, where the Supreme Court had indicated all schools should be integrated. Well, in Gainesville, they were determined that they were going to violate what the Supreme Court had said. My dad was a preacher. He was also president of the NAACP. So he sued the school board in order to get them to integrate. Once he did that, he had to find some students that would be willing to go from the all Black school to the all white school. He found a 10th and 11th grader. I was in the 12th grade. I told Dad, here I am. Send me, I'll go. And when I went to school, the first day of school, my dad took all three of us, the 10th, 11th, and 12th grader. I was surrounded by 4 or 5 white kids who would spit on me, call me the N-word, and told me that this would be the worst year of my life because they didn't want me at their all-white school. And they certainly didn't want to make history with me graduating with 550 of them. So they really did everything in their power to discourage me and get me to go back to the all white school, all Black school. Every day I went to my class, I found tacks in the seat. Under the seat, I found roaches, rats, and dead snakes. I spent a full year in silence. Out of 550 kids, I know 0 by name. No one said good morning to me. No one made any attempts to know who I was. They wanted to make sure that I understood that I was not welcome. So it was a trying year, but in spite of the difficulties, I persevered. I graduated, and I was the first African American to integrate the public school system of Gainesville, Florida, in Alachua County.
Oh my gosh, this morning I would love for all of you out there watching to put those little hand clap emojis on the screen. Because we don't have a studio audience here, we need you all to comment in and say thank you. Saying thank you to women like Dr. Bracy is so important. We let them know now while they're here with us that we're so grateful for you and we're thankful for the sacrifice, because it was a sacrifice. When I heard your story, the first time I was just in tears, and you're left speechless for those of us who are privileged now to be able to enter the corporate boardroom or go to a school and graduate with honors from Ivy League schools or any school for that matter, for us to be able to just carry out the dreams and the visions that we have, not effortlessly. There's still racism that still exists. There's still a system that's set up that makes it very difficult. But for many of us, because of you and women like you, we're able to walk this journey. And so thank you all for doing that. We thank you. We're there, the hand claps. Thank you, ladies who are tuning in. Thank you, Bridget. Oh, it is a great mother-daughter interview. Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in, Lois and Marjorie. Thank you for the hand claps and the love. It's truly an amazing story. It's almost unbelievable. LaVon, when you hear your mom talk about her journey, and I'm sure she shared it many times when you've been there listening to the story, what goes through your mind?
It's a sad moment, you know, when I hear, and I've heard her tell her story so many times. It's a very sad moment, but believe it or not, it's also a very empowering moment, a very sobering moment. Because you've heard the saying that we stand tall because we stand on the shoulders who have gone before us. So although it's a sad moment in our history and even in our family history, I know that the reason why I can do what I can do, the reason why I won't take no for an answer, the reason why I have set out to do some really cool things and really impactful things in my life is because I stand on her shoulders, because I know the sacrifices that she made for me, I owe it. I owe it to my mother and all of the trailblazers such as her to be the best and to do the best and to do great things and to be impactful. So although it's sad, although it's kind of heavy, it's also inspiring. It makes me get up every morning when I don't feel like it. It makes me say, you know, I got to press on, because if she went to school every day in those kind of conditions, if she persevered and I have nowhere near those kind of conditions, then it is absolutely imperative of me that I move forward.
Well said. Well said. I think you spoke for all of us, and for those of us who have adopted your mom as well. That is what we talked about before we started this morning's broadcast. So I know we have a few moments left, and I want to talk about some of you mentioned the projects that you're a part of, and Dr. Bracy also, where we can get the book. So I want to end the discussion with that. But LaVon, talk to us about how we can support some of the things that you're working on. And also, you mentioned, we know that you are part of bringing all of this amazing content and events to the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being a representation, for opening the door and opportunities. What do you have going on that's coming up that we can support, and also talk about supporting Pace Center?
Oh, that's great. I'll take a question like that any day. So, two things that I am programming. Right now I'm programming a series called the Freedom Series, which is a celebration of African-American artistry. And to kick off that Freedom Series on April 16th, we are bringing the Bethune-Cookman Concert Chorale on the front yard. This is pretty amazing because this will be the first time the chorale has sang in person since COVID. And they're going to open up their season and open up our Freedom Series Festival on our front yard. If you don't know anything about the front yard at the Dr. Phillips Center, it is socially distanced boxes where people can sit, take their mask off with their family. They'd be distanced from the next box. It is safe. It has the stamp of approval from Advent Health. They can order food that is delivered to their boxes. So technically, you don't have to ever leave your box besides going to the restroom. It is safe, it is exciting. And Bethune-Cookman Concert Chorale on April 16th will be in the place. So if you go to drphillipscenter.org, I invite you to buy those tickets. We reasonably priced them so that this could be a concert for all people to come and enjoy. Also on April 30th, we're bringing Ty Tribbett. He calls himself the Elvis of gospel. You know Ty Tribbett. He brings very exciting, eclectic gospel music, and he will also be a part of that Freedom Series on the front yard. And then with Pace Center for Girls, we have our Believing in Girls breakfast that is coming up soon. So if you'd like to give any money to Pace Center for Girls, I ask that you go on our website, pacecenterforgirls.org. Make sure you click on Orange County. Although Pace Center for Girls has 21 different sites, I very proudly represent Orange County. So any resources that you would like to give to Pace Center for Girls, if you can go to that website, it would be so appreciative. Believing in girls is so very important. Again, it changes the trajectory of these girls' lives. So make sure that you click on orange when you want to give your donation so that we can ensure it gets back to the girls that live within our community. And those are the two things that are near and dear to my heart.
And thank you for sharing that, because that's why we're here. You know, when we do local conversations and for authors, we talk about the books. You know, the biggest thing is when I ask my guests, you know, what is it that we can support? Because we've had people buy books, we've had people connect sign up for courses. We've had, now we want you all to go out to pacecenterforgirls.org, click orange because it's for Orange County, the Orange County location, and support. I went to meet the girls, and I went to an event, Time for Tea, with Tracy Phillips, and it was a wonderful day to meet the girls, to show them the etiquette that is involved in Time for Tea, and it's an experience that never left me, speaking to those girls. And so I would love for all of you to go out there, check out the website, and then for your viewing entertainment, we're excited that on April 16th, you got the Freedom Series, but they can go to drphillipscenter.org, right, and find all of it. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful. I love it. And we'll post that. I'll also post that in the post after the show as well, so we can come out and support. And I'm going to tell you the truth. Everyone had their mask on the night of Woman, what is the name?
Woman in Motion.
Woman in Motion. Oh my gosh. That was an amazing event on the lawn. The weather was perfect. The event was amazing. The documentary itself about Nichelle Nichols was amazing. I had my daughter with me, and everyone had their mask on. So I was thinking it was you, and I told you look beautiful. But I was like, was that her? Because I didn't have my glasses on, so I was just like hoping that it was you. And I think that's the first time we really gotten to speak in person.
Yeah, that was me. That was me. It was a great event.
Well, I just want to thank you for all you're doing with that. The events have been amazing. You do feel like it's been it's intentional, how the spacing, everything that's been being done for those events is so done in excellence. So it's been great. I encourage all of you to go check it out. So Dr. Bracy, as we wrap up our time, I really appreciate you guys coming on. Where can we get the book? And do you have anything coming up?
Yes, they can get the book at bravelittlecookie.com. What I have been doing this year, I have been going to various organizations who have requested, number one, could I share my story? And I have gone to underserved communities, and I've been able to give books away. Because I'm saying to people, buy a book for a kid. If you don't have any kids, then go to bravelittlecookie.com and indicate a gift that this book is to be given away. And then I put those books in a certain category. And then when I go out, I'm able to bless kids with books. I've been to places where kids have been so appreciative to say to me, I have never owned a book of my own. And we just assume that all kids, because they go to school, they own books. Many of them do not. So I've been trying to make sure that kids who really want a book will get one. So if you go to bravelittlecookie.com, I would love for you to buy a book. If you know a kid, to give a book to a kid. And if you don't know, buy a book, and I'll make certain that a deserving kid will get the book, and they will be able to understand history and what happened, and they will know that they can be bold, they can be brave, and they can be successful.
That is so wonderful. And we would be remiss if we left this broadcast without hearing about the amount of people you signed up. We saw you were everywhere on Facebook. I almost wanted to reach out to your children to say, what is she doing? Why is she out there? I could see LaVon's face like, yes, I was thinking the same thing. But God's hand was on you, and his hand of protection was all over that. And talk to us about how many people you signed up with for voting.
Okay. I am so passionate, because of the fact that I sat 1 year in silence. I have just said that I will never, ever be silent again. So I have been passionate about people having a voice. And how do you have your voice? You have your voice through voting. So I have been on a campaign for the last 50 years to enlarge the electorate and get people involved, get them to know that the only way you can make changes is through your voice and through your vote. So I would put on my mask and put on my gloves. And if I found out that there was a food giveaway, I would be right there. And the beauty of a food giveaway that people are in the cars, they can't go anywhere. So I could entertain, I could talk to them about voting, the issues, and I was able to register hundreds of people to vote, even in a pandemic. So I just love it. It's in my blood. I can't help it.
Oh, we are so grateful for your efforts. I could see the look on your daughter's face was like, what were you thinking, LaVon, before you go really quickly?
I mean, it's just amazing with my mom, and sometimes it's Facebook, or she'll send me a picture, and that would be the only way I know where she is and what she's doing and how she's doing it. And I'm like, oh boy, next time let me know before you're out in the middle of a pandemic trying to register voters. But I mean, her heart is pure, and she really just wants to make this world better. So we appreciate her efforts.
Mm-hmm. Well, ladies, we salute you here at the Good Morning Show, and I want you to know this is streaming on multiple platforms. So I Am Beautiful 365 is a Facebook platform. You guys should go out and check out. Everyone should go out and check out I Am Beautiful 365. I host several shows on that platform. They have over 400,000 viewers and followers, and they celebrate the beauty of Black and Brown culture 365. Hence the name I Am Beautiful 365. And you're also streaming on the Miss Corporate America platform right now. So this is going to be viewed a few thousand times. And so we're just so grateful for you both sharing your story. And I want to wish you all the best. And enjoy the rest of Women's History Month, because you are history makers. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Have a wonderful week.
You both as well. And we are going to be here at 7:45 a.m. Eastern every weekday this week, celebrating Women's History Month. Have a great day, you guys. Thank you all. Hit the share button now and share this on your page.
Thank you.